Hey everybody, welcome to today's video. We're going to be doing a quick tutorial on the downward dog position, some things to avoid, and how to use this pose effectively and safely. So, Hannah, would you please come into the downward dog position for us? So the first few things that we're going to talk about is we're going to start at hand placement and we're going to work our way back. So, first things first, Hannah's hands, if you see here, she has placed her hands nice and firmly on the ground, fingertips are spread. She's pushing through this part of her hand, so she's creating an even distribution of weight through the hand. She's not dropping all the weight into the outside cartilage of her hand. So her hand is evenly spread. She's squeezing the ground with her fingertips. Also, her shoulders are slightly externally rotated to create a healthy position for the shoulders to press the ground away. Now you'll notice Hannah's chest is really far through and she's got nice open shoulders. So she won't be seeing her arms in her peripheral vision. And ideally, this is what we want to be able to achieve. Her chest is pushing through. And Hannah's very open, so her legs are very long, her heels are planted down on the ground. The main thing I want you to notice with your feet is you're hiding the heels so you can't see them. She's also looking past her feet at the back of the mat. So you hide your heels, you look past your feet. Now, the most common mistakes I normally see is when new people or beginners push their chest too far forward like this and it turns into more of a plank pose. Now, what we don't want is for downward dog, we don't want our shoulders this far because it makes them work. The purpose of downward dog is to open the shoulders. So if you're struggling with your mobility, I want you to bend the knees. From here, once you've bent the knees, you're going to be driving the chest through towards the thighs. So that the bend in the knees takes some of the stretch off the hamstring. And if your hamstrings are quite tight, it'll affect how long you can get the spine. So ideally, I want a nice long line from the tailbone all the way down to the wrists. And Hannah keeps a nice long line here. Now, if you can, you start to bend one leg as you straighten the other whilst maintaining this length through the spine and down into the wrists. And if you start to sacrifice the length of the spine, when straightening the leg, it's best just to keep the knees nice and bent. Now, some people may struggle with getting their shoulders this open. It's harder if you have more muscle up here around the shoulders and the upper back region, and it will just take more time to open up, and you may never reach the same full expression as Hannah here because your anatomy and muscle mass and bone structure play a role in the expression. Hannah's full expression of the pose is very impressive. She's got really open hamstrings and really long shoulders. Now, think of this as a pyramid. Hannah's trying to evenly distribute her weight between her feet and her hands, and she's really trying to get her hips back and distribute this weight back over so she can be nice and balanced and it can act more as a rest pose. Because if she's too far forward, the shoulders have to work a lot more to hold her up. If she's further back, she is able to really just use the way the position is structured to balance and make it a little bit more like a rest pose. Now, this pose is often used as a transition pose commonly by people, and it's not solely a transition pose. It is also designed to be more of a resting pose throughout classes, but it has its own benefits and can be used on its own for the incredible benefits of the flexibility and strength that happens when you do this pose. But you'll most commonly see it as a transition pose or as a resting pose, but it can be done on its own, and it is useful as a very effective pose for essentially opening the shoulders as well as getting that nice rear line opening through the hamstrings and the back sides of the calves. Now, Hannah, if you want to sit your knees down, take a little break. So you clearly saw that Hannah's flexibility is really good. Now, your starting point may look different, and that's fine. The main thing you can focus on is making sure you have a bend in the knees, and you're really focusing on driving the chest through. So having that bend in the knees allows you to get the purpose of the pose, which is to open the shoulders. The hamstring and the rear line stretch is secondary to that. Main focus is on opening the shoulders. Now, if you have any further questions about this pose and you want us to break it down even further, you can drop those down below in the comments and we will try and get back to as many questions as we can. We hope you enjoyed this quick downward dog breakdown, and we'll see you in the next video.